Fuck you mean you don't know DJ Mark
You may disagree, but up to me, it's a fact. Paying running backs, it ain't no fun in that. Yeah, the sermon about to start, so I hope you know your stats. And if Kev get it wrong, then Rashad on his back with the facts. Matter of fact, all we do is say wins. When wings, congregation say amen. Trades, debates, wins, losses, the latest news, bruh. Prophet Kev speak, he got him saying hallelujah.
Welcome to Preach Kev Preach with Rashad. We are the prophets. Here another episode, another sermon coming at you from Wildcard Sports here on Wildcard TV. Rashad is not here today, man. He texted me and said, man, I had to have wisdom teeth surgery. So will he be a prophet when he returns? You got to find out next week when he's back. We got Kev joining me, man. Kevin Callair from the Bottom Line Podcast. Filling in for Rashad. What's going on?
Man, you know what it is, man. Just out here grinding. Glad to be here. You know, this is basically second home for me. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, yeah, appreciate it. It was last minute. With Rashad getting his wisdom teeth pulled out at the age of he 28, 29. I had mine out at 40. I mean, 40? I don't know. I meant 14. I am not 40, guys. I don't look 40 at all. 14. So, my wisdom been here since day one almost.
Yo, actually, the funny thing about the wisdom teeth is when I was like 8, the dentists were like, yo, when they did the x-rays, you have wisdom teeth, they're going to grow in any minute. So you're going to have to prepare to get those pulled. Well, I'm 27 now, and those wisdom teeth are still sitting in the same spot that they were sitting in. And honestly, I want to say something to those dentists who we had to pay money to tell me that wisdom teeth are going to come in that aren't going to come in. I need to tell the dentist they need to bring me my money.
Hey. It's wrong.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Bring me my money. All right. So before we get into our show today, we got a lot of NBA talk today. But first, I didn't really tell you about it, but I want to get into it. You said the other day, man, we gotta in life you gotta start cheating. So what's the quote you gave me?
And if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Honestly,
if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So with that being said, I tweeted out a long time ago when J.J. Watts, who we're talking about here, asked for his release from the Houston Texans. We all knew that was going to come eventually. I was like, where would I go? L.A., Aaron Donald, cheating. Oh, Chris Jones in Kansas City. Oh, I got Patrick Holmes too. Yeah, let me go over there, cheating. But, it didn't dawn on me when he said the Cleveland Browns. I said, oh, Myles Garrett and J.J. Watt? Sheldon Richardson? Olivia Vernon? Oh, man. Nah. No. Cheating. Your thoughts, man. Your thoughts on the rumors. Your rumors of well, first, I guess, would you be cheating like J.J. Watt?
Well, one, yeah. If I'm J.J. Watt at this point, it's all about cheating. You made plenty of money. Mm-hmm. It's time to go get a ring. Because that's like every year when players watch the Super Bowl, they want more and more to be there and play and win. And you're not going to do that in Houston. You're not going to do that anywhere that a team is willing to pay you close to what you was about to make this year. So you might as well go and cheat. Now, when they say things like Cleveland has what he wants, all they're talking about is Myles Garrett. That's what it is. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett, Aaron Donald, Chris Jones. But if you're not going to Kansas City, you need to take your behind out of the AFC because otherwise you will not make it. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Take your behind out of the AFC. People have mentioned the Bills a lot. Take your behind out the AFC.
That's too much. That's too much impact. He got to be
too much. Exactly. You have to do a little too much with the Bills. You go watch over there. See if the Bucks re-sign Shaq Barrett. See if they re-sign him. Just go and walk on over there. Hey, Tom. Shit. Hey, I'm with you, bro. Come on. Outside of Tampa Bay or Green Bay. Like, look, one of the Smiths is out of here. Don't worry about it. I'm here. I'm J.J. Watt.
So you got that bad man on the other side. Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you gonna cheat, first of all, well, I think the number one destination is L.A. I'm sorry. Yeah, now you got Stafford on the other side too. Yeah, let me go. Sean McVay coach. Yeah, let me go ahead and go to L.A. Let me go on over there because if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I think that might be a theme for the show. if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Because that's the way to do it. I mean, you see that's what the Bucks just did.
You ain't cheating, you ain't
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Yeah, I like that. I mean, it make a lot of sense. All right, man. Let's move on to NBA time. Andre Drummond. He been in the news a little bit and not playing the Andre Drummond that I know. Because when you're talking about big men outside of, obviously we'll put AD, Giannis in their own category, but MB, Jokic, Cat, it's not that many names before you say Andre Drummond. I mean, maybe if you want to argue me Sabonis and Vucevic, but I guess when you're talking about a defender, you're talking about Drummond or Gobert, I guess, on that next level right there, on that different branch from Sabonis and Vucevic. So anyway, rumors, have him going to the Nets if bought out, having rumor going to the Boston, but we know Danny Ainge. we know Danny Ainge, so he's not going to Boston. However, it's a lot of teams that he can help right away. A rumor that I like, and maybe might push back a little bit on this, but a rumor I like is Drummond to the Toronto Raptors. I guess Tampa Raptors for this season for COVID, but I think the reason why Drummond would be great there because when they had Marc Gasol and Ibaka during the championship years or the window when they're the top seed in the East, they did have that defender big man, whether that's Jonas Valanciunas, who now in the Grizzlies, he was there first, and Gasol and Ibaka came in. So you're talking about three guys who can play defense. So you bring that back with the emergence of Van Fleet, with the rising of Siakam, with Powell being one of the best like 6 men off the bench, and you got old veteran Kyle Lowry right now. So I think adding Drummond to a team that's 29th, which is almost last in the NBA in rebounding. When you add him to a team that's already top 3 in steals per game, to a team that's already top 10 in blocks, you're making that defense a whole lot better. And what Drummond brings to the table, which is defense and rebounding, and the ability to score inside the paint, which they also lack because all they do is shoot threes. And if they're not on, they're gonna lose. So when it comes down to the playoffs, you add Drummond. Okay, when we're playing Boston, we can outsize you there. Maybe against Brooklyn, might be a little different story. Maybe have to go a little run and gun. But against Giannis, you had the ability now when they had Kawhi, Ibaka, and Siakam. Now you got Drummond, Siakam to defend Giannis. Against Embiid, got to have Drummond, right? So I feel like that's a great move for Raptors because we know people ain't going to Toronto. End of the day.
So a couple things on Drummond. One, from a defensive and rebounding standpoint, they can only get better adding Andre Drummond, right? Like that's not something where you add a player and it ruins like chemistry, right? Like you like he's gonna grab rebounds. That's fine. That's what you want. However, when you mention the Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka's, and Jonas Valanciunas of the world, those guys are also really good passers, and they open up an offense in ways that I don't think Andre Drummond can. So it's gonna if it's going to work, which I'm not saying it can't. If it's going to work, it's gonna have to work very deliberately in one very specific way. And when you have to do it this one way, that's when it makes it difficult because there's just so many variables in a game. If he's gonna go somewhere, you're thinking somebody. When Detroit, whether they buy him out or trade him, whatever, somebody's gonna try to go get him because there's no big man in the East at all that's gonna stop Joel Embiid. The closest option you got is Drummond. Mm-hmm. So somebody, for that fact alone, would trade for him or pick him up and be like, Drummond, you just gonna sit this bench till we play Philly in the straight up. Like if it doesn't move the needle for your championship window, it at least gets you closer to stopping that monster over there in Philly because there's nobody.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Hold on to that monster. Shout out Coach Carter. But I mean, to the thing about Drummond though, I feel like when they talking about the Nets getting him, I'm like, bro, how much help do you really need? Because that is like I said, when you remove Embiid, Jokic, and Cat from the conversation, you're saying Drummond is could be a top 4 big. Like those three going. All right, so if they top 3, number 4 spot is up for grabs. I mean, we could say Gobert and I guess it really depends on how your team is built, whether you want Sabonis, or Vucevic, or Drummond, or Gobert. But I feel like those are the next 4 guys, and even throwing in a Bam, like all those guys are all whoever I see last is who I want. I mean, I guess you want if you want
Yeah.
if you want to, and with Drummond, like, they think him going to the Nets fix the whole defense. So if he brings that kind of if he's that good, saying like, I feel like a Toronto team that I feel like every team that wants him probably don't need him to score, but he's capable of getting you 15 and 16 a night.
I think that the Nets are a team that it's interesting because the Nets are the only team in the East that I look at that I see could really like maximize Drummond's weakness if they played against Drummond, right? So like if the Raptors or the Celtics were to go get Drummond, the Nets are the one team where I'm like, dang, you're talking about putting Drummond in the pick and roll, like making Drummond's man come set these screens. Are we talking James Harden and Kyrie Irving? Like, I'm not really comfortable.
That's kind of hard to
But I understand. So like any team that gets Drummond should hope they don't play Boston should hope they don't have to play Philly before. Can I get the word out? Should hope they don't play Brooklyn before they play Philly. If you go get Drummond, you better be that 8 seed or you better be a top 4 seed or maybe it's top 5 because I think that Drummond in the pick and roll. And here's the other thing. I don't watch him play that much because he's on Detroit. But
Cleveland now. Same thing.
Cleveland.
Same thing. Your opinion didn't change. I mean, it didn't change anything.
Didn't change nothing. But like you remember Boogie Cousins last year in Sacramento, he was ripping guys at the top of the key, like picking people's pocket.
Drummond does he has worked on his game as far as like stepping out. Now this is pickup basketball, so it's a little different. But you see the videos of him picking basketball against other NBA players, and he can shoot the 3. He does, he does get his hands in the passing lane. So I don't think he'll be a liability. I feel like a guys like Drummond and Gobert.
Liability is a strong word. Man, that's not maybe what I want to say.
All right.
But because like
that's
I said,
cutting off a little bit.
Because the only people who I'm talking about here to really like hurt him would be Kyrie and James Harden.
Yeah, right.
Kyrie and James Harden. So it can't really be a liability if I can only name 2 players in the whole conference that I'd be scared for him to be having to guard the pick and roll.
Right.
So maybe that's a far-sighted.
Yeah, I'm with you though. I'm with you.
So it's Raptors have to do something. Like if you can't rebound, you can't win games in the playoffs. You can't win series in the playoffs.
Nope.
If you can't defend, you can't win series in the playoffs. He's not going to make your defense worse. He's not going to make your ability to rebound worse. He can only make it better. And especially if you can get him, if you know he's going to get cut, or you can get him for minimal value, give up one of these picks that you don't need, and roll the dice. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You're 13 and 15 right now. You can't get. What's the worst that can happen if you make the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
Can you really be upset? Did you really consider yourself a championship contender this year, especially after the way you started? Yeah.
Yeah, he's not even trying. Obviously we seen that the last few weeks or so. He's averaging 18 and 14. But he's not trying. And he on a Cavs team where they still in playoff hunt, aren't they? Aren't they still in playoff hunt? Oh, they fell out. They're on a okay, well, you go on an 8-game losing streak.
Yeah.
You're on an 8-game losing streak and you're 2 games back from the 10 seed. So what did that tell you? So that means at one point they were hooping, but it's a young team and no Kevin Love, no Larry Nance. It's hard to pick up that slack from hoping Sexton and a rookie Okoro and all those kind of guys are bringing you back and winning games. So free my boy Drummond because he went through it all. But what Toronto can't do, you can't let him get bought out. Because all right, so if you Drummond, are you not going to choose Brooklyn over Toronto?
Yep.
Because I had this conversation with Rashad last week. I was like, well, I think I made 2 episodes ago about would you rather go to Brooklyn? Would you rather go to Boston? And because like to me it's like he go to Brooklyn. I feel like that's more of a JJ Watt type of situation that we talked about earlier, where you done been through the whole thing. You done did everything you can to this game, and now you just playing the play and then getting out of here. I don't feel like Drummond is that. I feel like Drummond is in the prime of his career where he needs to. When you look back on his career, he's gonna be the 4th or 5th best player on the championship team. Like, because he only. I mean, I guess that's not saying a bad thing either because you're a champion, but it's like, I mean, hey, did they? Because after you get past the top 3 guys, do you be like, did they really need you?
It's really like, yeah, yeah. It's crazy because honestly, the one if he gets bought out, which like you said, Toronto cannot let that happen. If you let him get bought out, now he has options. Like now there's a serious problem. And if you let him get to Boston, it could be dangerous.
Well, they struggle against Boston now.
Now, right. But what I'm saying is like Boston, what have we been saying about Boston for 3 years? They're too small. Like it doesn't matter what you're doing. You know, you can replace Kemba with Kyrie, Kyrie with Kemba, replace Isaiah Thomas with Kyrie, but you're too small. You can't play 3, 6, 7 dudes or like 6, 8 and think, oh, I'm gonna play 6, 8 at my 2, 3, and 4 and play Aaron Baines at my 5 and think we're supposed to have long-term success. Like that's not, but you go make that Drummond.
That's what I was saying, bro. Like Boston, for impact, Boston makes more sense for Drummond.
He solves a lot more problems for Boston than he does for Toronto.
Yes,
in my opinion.
Yes, now that's true. But if you're Toronto, that's a new move you got to make. If somebody gonna make that available, you're gonna have to make the move because if you look at anybody else in the East that's just in the East, you're not getting Vucevic. Magic clearly made that draft bomber. Oh, max contract Vucevic. What they do that for? Like, so obviously Magic don't want to get rid of Vucevic. So you don't have the other option. You don't have because Minnesota ain't getting rid of Cat. So that's it. Cat and Drummond. That's the only 2 options as far as teams that's currently not in the playoffs. That's losing record. So it is what it is. But I think Toronto has to make that move. Boston has to make that move because what you can't let is the Nets get him. Because you're pretty much done. You're pretty much done. Because if we're saying Kevin Durant, all right, so I believe LeBron James is the best player in the game. Are you?
I would 100% agree.
All right, so we're saying Kevin Durant the second best small forward, right?
I would 100% agree.
All right, so you got the number 2 small forward behind LeBron James, James Harden. So I guess now that Kyrie say he's a point guard, James Harden is still a top 3 point guard.
If James Harden is a point guard,
is he 1?
He's 3rd, and he could be 1. Honestly, I don't consider him a point guard. I consider him a 2 guard, and therefore I consider him the best shooting guard.
Right. So James Harden may be the best guard, right? And even though I am the president of the I Hate Kyrie I Hate Kyrie Irving Club, he's still one of the best finishers at the rim. Got the best handles out here in the game, and can get any shot he want. So you got 3 guys. Do not let Brooklyn get a top. We would say move those 3 guys. He might be the best center in the game. Don't let him get a top 5 potential center in the game. Don't do it. Don't do it if you're Boston. Don't do it if you're the Raptors. You got to make the move, whatever that is. And because of the last few weeks, I think last week he played like 16 minutes, 4 and 6. Gets Portland 8 points, 5, and now he's getting like DNPs, and you got Drummond coming out, Draymond coming out and backing up Drummond. Like, man, y'all want this guy to be a professional, but yet you're not playing him, and you're mad that he don't want to play because you don't want to get him out of there. All that kind of stuff. The whole soundbite, and what Draymond saying basically, in my opinion, was why is it not a 2-way street where I can get yanked out of the court and my whole, quote unquote life is ripped apart, and now I'm not, I'm just it's quote unquote business, but on the other side it can't be business, or when because right now every NBA fan want Bradley Beal to get freed, but then when Jalen Harden want to be out, the media was like, oh, blah blah blah, he did this and this and that. So that's what Draymond means, and it's like the media makes up who they want to get freed and who they don't want to get freed. And when you want to leave, you're a villain. So what are your thoughts about what Draymond has said?
So it's crazy that we're on this topic because literally the podcast that I've got coming out, the next episode, go check that out. Bottom line, by the way, side plug.
Good plug.
So I literally did. I have a whole segment. It's almost 20 minutes long about the whole Draymond thing. Because there's two ways you can look at this, right? You can look at it in one way and say, well, he's got a point. Why is there not equal accountability and scrutiny for both sides, right? When you sign a contract is nothing more than an agreement on paper. And when you sign it, just like with any job offer you ever get, your signature's on that paper, and the person offering you their signature's on the paper too, whether it's an owner or a manager or whatever. It's two people agreeing to the terms on that paper. So therefore, I am just as accountable when I break this contract as the person who signed it on the other side. So why is it that I get fined or I get scrutinized or I'm held accountable for not doing what I need to do to hold up my end of the bargain? But on the flip side, when I'm not happy with the team, I can't express that in any way. But if the team's not happy with me, they can release me, they can trade me, do whatever they want to do with me. Because again, as signing a contract is not supposed to be I'm signing the rights to my person to you. No. Signing a contract is we came to an agreement on terms.
Yeah. So,
and then the other side, the other argument to that is, well, look, man, at the end of the day, the NBA is your job. So, I go to work every day running the risk that if my boss decides I'm not useful, I can get fired. Mm-hmm. Or if he decides they got to lay me off because they can't pay me the money I need to get paid, they can lay me off. Or they may, and in some cases, they can require somebody to move to a different state, right, to do the job they need them to do in a different state, right? And so some people look at it and you could say, well, look, man, this is your job. Don't look at this as you're an athlete this is your job. This is, unfortunately, no matter how much money you make, you're just like every other person in this country, which is if your employer, which is who the team is not happy with you, and they want to move on from you, they can. And so that's where this paradigm is. I mean, of course, I'm always going to be pro player on that sense, because it's not that simple. But that is kind of like the pull, the push and pull on both sides. I usually like to, spew out both sides so that people get a full, broad understanding.
Right.
But at the end of the day, even if this is the way it is, the way it's always been, the way it's always probably going to be, doesn't mean you can't want better. And to those people who say, well, you make a lot of money, so you should be dealing with it. That's broke people talk. That's what broke people say.
Yeah, right.
Like, because people who don't have money don't understand that having a lot of money doesn't make you happy. And just because you're getting paid a lot to do something doesn't mean you can't want better.
Yeah, and another thing to add on to that, like you talk about, moving your job, may move you to a different state. When he signed that contract, he signed with the Pistons. He didn't sign up to go to Cleveland. And when he even got traded to Cleveland, well, all right. So I understand why players take. You got a player option. Why you take it, right? Guys like Gordon Hayward, said, I know I'm gonna get some more money somewhere else. So it must have been an already market for him. Now for Drummond, I wonder why he would accept the player option to stay in Cleveland when you could have had your choice of during the offseason. But with COVID like it is, you gotta take your money. So I think that probably really what it was. And if it was any other situation, a regular NBA year, a regular NBA offseason, Drummond would have to say no. And to be honest with you, that $28 million, if I got 24 for somewhere else, maybe he knew, maybe his agent said, hey, you might get 21. So he's like, all right, I just take 28 this year and just, whatever happens, and then I go into the market next year. So, it's all those kind of things that go into play too, because he had the option to decline. So, so at the end of the day, we can't, like you say, we always talk about when guys sign contracts, like, hey, you got the ability to walk, especially basketball. You have the ability to move. It's a player movement league. LeBron started off, as far as like, hey, I'm 1 year deal, player option, so I can be flexible. And don't get mad when you sign these 5-year contracts in a small market and you're a star. Anthony Davis,
Devin Booker, Bradley Beal,
and
I have no sympathy.
No sympathy for you for that reason. But but I'm not gonna be mad if you say I want out. But But you did sign it too. So, but I completely understand where Draymond's coming from, and I agree with it because now they're making it look like Drummond is like he don't want to be there. Who the hell want to be in Cleveland?
Yeah. Nobody wants to be in Cleveland,
regardless. Damn Cleveland, regardless. Like, no. He don't want to leave LA, and he's not trying to leave New York. Like, he's trying to leave Cleveland. Like, yeah. First off, getting traded from Detroit to Cleveland, that's bullcrap. Like, that. I want to say something else, but I ain't gonna say that too much vocal on here. But like, that's hell no. I'm not doing that. So my next destination is gonna be Brooklyn, Boston, Toronto. that's where I'm trying to go.
The thing about this too, the crazy part about it is like because NBA contracts are fully guaranteed, players are like, well, I'm gonna chase the money, and if I cry enough, or if I have enough pull, I'll get where I want to get to. Right. Teams can make it happen. Let's just make sure that I lock up my wallet first, because right now, COVID, like you mentioned, everybody's money's a little funny right now, and you can't be leaving $7 million on the table. Mm-hmm. Also, your agent may know you might be able to get more, but you might get less. I don't really want to leave my 10% of your contract on the table either. So Drummond, let's take this money. We'll get you where you need to get you to, but let's go and take this. Let's get this 28 mil. Mm-hmm. Not everybody can have the Gordon Hayward luxury. You can't go sign a 4-year max deal, get hurt game one, not play up to a max deal, and then go sign for another $100 million. Not everybody can do that.
Hey, Gordon Hayward is a finesser.
It could be a GTBW situation, but I'm just saying, not everybody has that luxury. Yeah. So if you're Drummond, you got to, hey man, you got to sign that dotted line, take your check, and keep it moving.
Yeah, that's funny. So we'll see what happens to Drummond. I mean, whether that's Toronto, Boston, Brooklyn, it's gonna be better than Cleveland. Whatever the situation
is. The thing is, at the end of the day, wherever it is, because anything is better than Cleveland, honestly. Drummond can look at whoever it is and tell him to bring me my money.
Yes, sir.
Tell him to bring me my money.
Yeah. Let's, but on that, LeBron James did back it up. So what I want to talk about LeBron James is going to the Lakers. Anthony Davis, my guy, my Kentucky guy, injured, reactivated his Achilles tendon or something like that. It's something with Achilles, which is dangerous territory. Especially for somebody of his stature, and we just saw Kevin Durant come back from that. So me and Rashad have put a season-long bet on LeBron James winning MVP. And I'm never going to say this is what you need to get that storyline here, because Kevin Durant comes to the season, got the storyline right. But I feel like once they add James Harden, that kind of took away the mystique of bringing Brooklyn to obviously they're probably gonna be the number one seed, most likely. So Kevin Durant's storyline is always gonna be there. What Embiid's doing right now as the number one seed, if he continues that and they continue to keep winning, battling Brooklyn for that number one seed, he can get it. I feel like a guy like Jokic right now and Dame probably don't have the wins, but they are having MVP seasons. So with that being said, with AD being hurt now, the Lakers, how. Are you on the side where the number one storyline may be now LeBron James at the age of what he is, with 36, dominating the league still, and can bring me my money.
Tell him to bring me my money.
Bring me my money and win MVP. I think how many MVPs got? 3, 4. Yeah. So
3.
So bring another one, and that'll be 4 or 5. I don't remember. I gotta look it up. But so. What do you think about that storyline now that AD is hurt?
So, yes, obviously the storylines matter, right? You don't win MVP without a storyline. They still want to push this Luka narrative, this Luka storyline. Like that's the NBA wants Luka to win MVP.
Luka's gonna get it at some point.
Luka is gonna get MVP soon.
Yeah.
Bet on it. Like every year, just go and bet on Luka. Eventually, you'll make your money back. The thing about LeBron is it does set up well. Anthony Davis gets hurt. LeBron leads these Lakers in his absence. They get the 1 seed. But the problem is Utah is playing so well. I don't think LeBron gets MVP if they are not the 1 seed. That's number one. Number two, this year is the year where the Lakers are like, look, we're still tired. We went through that whole bubble situation. We don't really care. You know how LeBron James teams go. We coast once we get a month, 2 months left in the season. We coast so we can get right for this playoffs. They're going to coast all season. So I don't really necessarily think that their team is going to finish in good enough stature to win MVP. Kevin Durant, of course, has that comeback player of the year. That's locked. That's in the bag. Kevin Durant's getting comeback player of the year, and if they're only 1 game behind Philly because Philly's on a 3-game losing streak right now, and if they end up the 1 seed, Kevin Durant will be in the conversation. I don't think, like you said, Jokic and Dame have the wins, but what it really comes down to is Joel Embiid, because this is the first year where it's like, yo, they got a coach. My man is putting up damn near 30 and 11, and you're talking about if Philly can find a way to not just be a 50-win team, they're going to get the 1 seed with this Brooklyn team in their conference. You still got Milwaukee there, and you still got Toronto there, and you still got Boston there, and you're the 1 seed. And Embiid didn't get hurt, while Ben Simmons' numbers, quote unquote, go down, even though his value has gone up. Embiid is the one who I'm looking at, and it's like nobody expected. There's always one person who was like, they weren't really expected to be in the hunt, whether it's Paul George that 1 year and Embiid this year. But it's there, right? I'm not going to say Kawhi Leonard. They're hurt too much, out for COVID too much. There's all types of stuff going on over there in the Clippers.
Yet. They still win.
Yeah, somehow, some way to win a game.
Let's tell you right now, you can't win MVP even winning games without you. So it's got to be Embiid is to me. If Philly holds on to the 1 seed, I don't think it matters what LA does. I think Embiid wins MVP. Now, go ahead.
And I was just gonna say, if Dallas finishes somehow top 4, they're gonna have to do something crazy, and they want to give it to Luka, so it's going to Luka.
All right. So what I want to say is, I feel like the Lakers cheated without cheating. So we said earlier, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. When you got Montrezl Harrell, when you got Schroeder, so in their absence, the last game, I think both those combined for 40 points. So if they step their game up with the Kuzma and all these kind of guys, like, they're going to say, oh, LeBron James making those guys better because they're not James Harden that Kevin Durant has, or it's not Doc Rivers coaching a team with Tobias and Ben Simmons, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I feel like you can knock a lot of things, right? And then I guess and the other guys would say Jokic and Dame, they had their excuses why they could win it, but like I said, might not have the wins. So if it's gonna come down to those 3, if it comes down to those 3, all right. Well, he didn't have another superstar or all-star alongside him. He had a 6th man of the year, Montrezl Harrell. He had Schroeder, who's been bouncing around the league, blah blah blah. So you're gonna have those people who say that kind of narrative, and that could be his path. And hopefully the path for victory for me. And
the other thing, real quick, just as I interject, in my opinion, LeBron James could win MVP every single year.
Yep.
Like, if he were to win MVP this year, I wouldn't be mad, right? And in fact, it's overdue. Because every single year, LeBron James is the most valuable player, not only to his team, but to the entire league, right? So that's just the facts. I will also say this. Achilles, basically what Anthony Davis has is Achilles tendonitis, right? If anyone's ever had tendonitis, your tendons are flaring up randomly all the time. It's not fun. You definitely don't want to be playing on it, but you can get through it if it's tendonitis in your bursitis in your elbow. But it's hard to do that on an Achilles. Anthony Davis is also 6'10", 6'11". He's a big dude. I don't anticipate, and I really am knock on wood because I really don't want to put this in the air, but I don't anticipate Anthony Davis finishes this season this year. And it's either whether because he gets hurt or it's because they say, yo, we got to shut this down because this is you keep re-aggravating this and we're not risking your health and we just signed you to a long-term deal. I don't think that he finishes the season. With that being said, if Anthony Davis has to shut it down and the Lakers still finish 2 seed, anything within 2 games of the 1, then I don't see why it won't be the problem.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it doesn't get to that. And hopefully by shut down, you just mean comeback playoff time because they have no shot if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
That's too
exactly
much for
what I
LeBron.
mean by shut down, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It scares me. And then of course Achilles just makes you cringe. So,
all right. So one guy we didn't talk about, we talked about MVP. And his team has the best record in the NBA. That's the Utah Jazz with Donovan Mitchell. He's balling out. I think he's averaging like 20, 25, 5 and 5, somewhere in that nature like that. Man, this team in Utah, man, is something serious, man. And we were talking about like, are they real contenders? We're talking about who like a contender so far. You know, we had the Lakers, we had the Nets. I said the Sixers. I feel like the Jazz were a real contender. And you've seen the last few weeks, man. What 18 out of 19 games won. Probably win again in the next couple of weeks. I mean, because if they're not playing a great team, it's like at some point when are they going to lose? And I've been saying that for a little minute. Or they got to lose at some point, beat Indiana. Or they got to lose at some point, beat Boston. Or they play Milwaukee, they got to lose, beat Milwaukee easily. Oh, they got Miami with Jim Butler back easily. Play Philly, beat them easily. Like it's getting to a point where this team is a problem. And Donovan Mitchell leading the way. He's averaging 24, 5 and 4. So I feel like he's the crazy thing is about when you look at guys' MVP seasons or the year that they were top 5 MVP or whatever it is. Don't it feel like sometimes they be having the exact same years they had prior or this year after? Like I feel like Mitchell been at that same 25, 5 and 5 his whole career since he's been a star. And it's like, man, so now it means winning. And that's why I never like people who said, oh, he's not contributing to a winning team. Those stats don't mean nothing. Like that don't mean nothing to you. But now that he's 23 and 5, his team, Donovan Mitchell's on a rampage, he's on a tear, blah blah blah. I just thought we should mention the Jazz though, because when it comes down to a playoff basketball, I feel like you have to have multiple guys who can give you 20. Like, and I don't even have to say consistently, but at the same point, it's kind of like guys who can get you 20. So you say 7-game series, 4 of them can get you 20. Like you want like 4 games, they can score 20 points, and I feel like they may have the most guys who can do it, because you got the 6th man of the year, Jordan Clarkson, easily in the bag right now. He's a problem. Can't guard him. I mean, he's been a scorer his whole career, like L.A., Cleveland, whatever he's been. Bogdanovich is coming back from injury. He's slowly getting it together, but he's getting back into form where he's back at 16 points a game. Then you bring in Mike Conley, who I thought he was done. And before he got hurt this past 2 weeks, he was on a rampage. He actually looked like the best guard on Utah, like for good stretches. And then who last got missing? Joe Ingles, of course. The PG stopper, Paul George stopper, Joe Ingles, and he has the ability to light you up from 3 at any given moment. So all those guys, and then you had the big man in the middle, Rudy Gobert, who can play defense and change the game. Because when we had this whole debate about remember that whole debate, who rookie of the year, Mitchell versus Ben Simmons. I was like, well, Mitchell not even. I think at the time, Embiid missed a lot of games the whole season, right? So it was all Ben. And I was like, well,
and Mitchell was playing on Gordon Hayward's team. That was still Gordon Hayward's last year in Utah.
And I was like, Mitchell not even the best player on his team. He's not even second. And I was like, impact wise, he wasn't even number 1 because Gobert as far as impact at that time. So, but now these guys are coming together. Adding Derek Favors brought him back. Kind of that Paul Millsap role that he had when he was there in Utah. Like, you got somebody who can take out Gobert and still be formidable in the middle, because they tried with what's the guy from North Carolina that freshman.
Tony Bradley,
sorry, yeah. Like they tried with him. They tried. I can't. Who else they tried with? I think they draft the dude from Kansas, Azubuike. I want to say they did, but I'm not sure. But either way, they tried with so many different guys along the line, and they just wasn't it. They weren't cutting it. But I feel like Derek Favors gives you that 10 and 10 opportunity every game. So your thoughts real quick on the Jazz, because when you come back, I got to give somebody some love.
So, all right, a few things on the Jazz. One, in regards to Donovan Mitchell winning MVP or being in the conversation. Will he maybe be in the conversation? Maybe. But honestly, like, 24, 5, and 4 sounds good. Like, how many players are putting up better numbers than that? Like, honestly, like that sounds like, and that's what I'm saying. Like 24, 5, and 4 for a shooting guard as the number one option on his team isn't impressing anybody at this point, especially because rebounds nowadays, 5 rebounds for a guard 10 years ago is absurd. 5 rebounds. Steph Curry gets 5 rebounds a game. We know he ain't out there banging. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the other thing I want to mention about Mike Conley, and this is what really was kind of getting to me about people last year while he was in the bubble. Like, there were moments where he didn't play well, but I was watching Utah and I was like, Utah looks like such a different team when Mike Conley has the ball in his hands.
Yep.
Like I remember tweeting about it. It is absurd. And I'm glad that, people, were really trying to come for his neck. Like 2 years ago, he wasn't the best thing in Memphis. So, or 2 seasons ago, maybe 3 years ago. So that kind of bugged me. Bogdanovich is back. And so I think that the other thing too, when you go you win 18 out of 19 so early in a season, you're going to skyrocket to the top of the rankings. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody really believes that this is a Utah. All right, think about this. Milwaukee, I'm thinking of Bucks. So Milwaukee became the team that cared more about the regular season than anything else, right? They were like, we want to be the 1 seed. We want to win 60 games, 65 games in the regular season. We're going to play everybody every night. Every team goes through this stretch. Denver did this, where it was like, congratulations, you just became the team that cares about the regular season, right? Like, that's like Boston did this. And then eventually they kind of mature and realize the regular season does not matter. Right now, Utah is a team that plays all their guys every night. Right, mind you, they did just beat Philly, and it was pretty easily, but like Embiid didn't play, and so my point is they're playing teams, and teams are like, we resting, and Utah's like, nah, we're not, right? So Utah's bringing Bogdanovich back, which is huge, by the way, but you got a Denver team who started out trash, terrible, a Phoenix team who was built almost exactly like Utah. When you really break down the rosters as far as the key pieces. And so you got a Utah team who's right now cares a lot about the regular season, had an early exit in the bubble because that 3-1 blowing 3-1 leads is fresh on everybody's mind still. Right? At the end of the day, you got outdueled. Do we really think that, because you mentioned Utah might have the most players who can get you 20 on any given night? And my kind of argument would be Denver can. And Denver has more players that can facilitate for other players on their team. So Denver's more likely to have multiple players give you 20 on any given night, right? Do we really believe that Utah's better than Denver, even though they're 23-5 because they've won 18 of the 19, right? Think about that. Before that, they were 5-4, right? And they just go on this huge stretch. So I think that's why no one wants to give Utah any credit yet. Also, Donovan Mitchell ain't going to win because he's in Utah. Like, that's something to be said about that. Nobody even likes their fans as it is, but then let alone it's Utah, bro. Ain't nobody paying attention out there. So just like you don't win MVP in Cleveland unless you are LeBron James. So I think all of those things factor in to why Utah, it still seems like people aren't ready to give them this credit, the props that they need. And I know where you're going because I know you love Quinn Snyder, so I'm going to let you take over. Mm-hmm. But I think that's all that mixture of things that I'm talking about, because we've seen the Bucks dominate regular seasons for 2 years straight and it meant nothing. And now the Bucks are just like, all right, we need to get better, even if that means losing some games in the regular season. We saw it with Toronto, we've seen it with Boston, we saw it with Denver, and now we're seeing it with Utah. Well,
to go on that point though, is like, with Milwaukee, like you said, skyrocket, right? Out of nowhere, where everything hit at once. Giannis is emerging to an MVP candidate. You bring over Chris Middleton. He's being very, 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 very good player. You brought in Brogdon at the time, Brook Lopez who can shoot 3. Everything you brought in Coach Bud, like everything was going in the right direction at the right time. And they only been together like 3 years. Like the core, like the Middleton, Giannis, but they haven't been around long, and you keep mixing up pieces around them, right? Well, I feel like Utah, with the stability, which I like to preach that a lot, Because when you don't have the superstar, when you don't bring in Kevin Durant, when you don't bring in LeBron James to those, Brooklyn and into the Lakers, you need to have that stability, and that's why like I even liked Brett Brown lasting as long as he did, like in Philly, because you still have the main core of Embiid and Ben Simmons, and you saying at some point we're gonna hit that stride, whether that's with Brett Brown or not. And with Quinn Snyder being there for so long, and you even see it in Portland with Terry Stotts. I don't like him that much, but he's been around 9-10 years, and they make playoffs every year, no matter what. And whether you win a championship or not, that's neither here or there. But for Utah, Mitchell been there for what? This is what I think year 4, year 5. You brought in Bogdanovich. That was a great piece. Brought in Clarkson, great piece, because you need to have multiple scores. You bring in Mike Conley, who can bring that defensive anchor to your guard spot. Which when they upgraded from Rubio can do everything Conley can do, like as far as like play defense, pass the ball. But what he couldn't do is have the ability to have the offense run through him as far as putting the ball into the basket. And all those mixers right there, you have the guys who play the role play, like the Royce O'Neals, the Ingles. You got to have those kind of role players. And then you have your second best player on the team who prides himself on playing defense. Like, I feel like they have everything you need. Like, when you talk about shooting, they're top 5 right there with Brooklyn, right there with the Clippers. Rebounding right there with Milwaukee and the Lakers. Defense right there with the Lakers and the Clippers. Like, they're right there in every single category. And yeah, you're right about the stretch. So we have to see, do they ever dip? And that's what you have to realize. And whether Utah makes it to the championship game or not, I feel like either way, the success is making to the finals. I mean, making to the conference finals, because like you said, you're probably not better than the Lakers and the Clippers, but if you are the 2 or 3 seed, or if you get lucky and be the 1 seed, you get to avoid both of them.
You got to show you're better than Denver. Got to show you better.
Can Utah lose to anybody? Yeah. Can they lose to everybody? Right. But it's the reason why they went up 3-1. Right. And Mike Conley wasn't playing good basketball. And neither was and Bogdanovich wasn't there at all. So you lost because he was averaging 20 last year. So now you get that back. Conley on another page, and Clarkson has hit a level off the bench where he's going to score. So will Mitchell score 50 points? 50 points like he did last in the bubble? Probably not, right? So I feel like they turn a corner, and I think that's, to me, I'm always root for Quinn Snyder. I think he's a top 5 coach. I don't care how you want to rank him, 1 or 5. I feel like he has to be there. And with the team that he has, he doesn't have the superstar. And and that's the thing that Doc Rivers is lucky with right now. Steve Nash is lucky with. Frank Vogel is lucky with, and he doesn't have that. Terry Stotts has that in Dame Lillard. Steve Kerr has it in Steph Curry, but he has to ride and Gobert, who can only average 10 points a game and dunk, right? And he got to go with Mitchell, who averaging 24, 5, and 4, where everybody in the league is doing that with these now. So he has to be they're a team, and I feel like when it comes down to it, that probably don't win you a championship, because it's hard for a team to win. You got to have, if you have the superstars, you win the game. That's what it is. But conference finals, which if you think about it, if you strive to be that 1 seed, you avoid the Lakers and Clippers. So like you said, can you beat Denver? Can you beat the Phoenix, who are almost built like you? Can you beat Portland? Like those are the type of teams. If you beat them, I could do a little clap and say job well done. In my opinion.
Yep, and that's the success, making that conference finals. That's a good point. And I think what you just did in that whole spiel was you just went ahead right there and explained why, no matter what their record is, Donovan Mitchell won't win MVP, because their record is so much more around the team. It's almost like, and maybe you might have explained why this is the case when people don't really, no one's been able to really put a finger on it. But maybe it seems like everybody on that team, including Mitchell, plays a role. Yeah. And Mitchell's role is score a lot. Yeah. And Clarkson's role is do that same thing off the bench. And Bogdanovich's role is do this, while Conley's role is, hey, facilitate. We can run this through you so that everybody can get a break. Ingles' role is play defense, get in Paul George's head and knock down some threes. And, we know what Gobert's role is. That's easy. And Royce O'Neal's and Derek Favors. And so maybe that's why nobody also takes Mitchell seriously in the MVP race, is because in reality, what it really is he's just another role player. as opposed to, even though he's, probably the most talented, best player on the team,
right?
He's just another role player, and his role is just doing the scoring.
Yeah, and but I feel like when it comes out to a playoff series, if he does possess the 50-point, I ain't saying he got to score 50, but if he does possess that when he hits that level, because I feel like he has the ability to be the second best player on the court. I mean, if you're playing Lakers, can you be the second best player on the court? If you do, you can win the series. Like that's a different story. You're playing the Clippers. Can you be number 2? Can you be better than Kawhi? Because Luka did that. They still lost the series, but you still might lose series. But can you hit the elevator button? And if he ever does, that's the only way. Because like you said, Quinn Snyder is not dealt the same hand that Frank Vogel has dealt with LeBron James, with Steve Nash getting Durant, Harden, and Curry his first year. Like he not dealt that. He got to deal with Gobert and Mitchell and make that work. And so far,
right.
As far as he has, I mean, it's not a championship. Okay, we get it. But it's Utah. Do you really expect them to win a championship? They couldn't do it with Karl Malone and Stockton. Couldn't do it with D. Will and Carlos Boozer. So I mean, they don't do it with Mitchell and Gobert. I mean, can we really get too mad? You know what I'm saying? So I just want to shout out Quinn Snyder and Jazz so far what they're doing. Our last segment of the night, it's called 3 and D. We got in the NBA, there's a lot of 3 and D players. I feel like that's like the position you got to have on your team. Talking about the Jazz, talking about Donovan Ingles, you got to have them, right? So we got 3 statements, and we're going to defend the statement, and then whether one of us disagrees with that statement and tries to counter that. So first we're going to start off with let's start off with Blake Griffin. He's been in the news. He's not playing no more basketball till Pistons trade him. For Blake Griffin, defend this statement. Wherever team he goes on to, he does not change the needle of that team.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much what that statement is saying is that. Sorry about that. What that is saying is that adding Blake Griffin to a team does not make them go from fringe contender to contender, right? Blake Griffin this year is averaging 12 points a game, 3.9 assists, 3.4 rebounds, no steals, half a block, 2.4 fouls. Blake Griffin is not playing good basketball. Blake Griffin I don't like to use the word washed because I feel like it is a bit disrespectful just as far as saying that about players. I just don't like doing that. But Blake Griffin is not Blake Griffin on his name alone makes people have these conversations. But this is not Blake Griffin who's flying around. This isn't Blake Griffin first 2 years in Detroit when he was averaging 25, 6, and 8. Where we're talking MVP, I mean, not
that
MVP.
Man was special.
He was hooping, shooting threes. I mean, my man is putting up 5, 6 threes a game now. He's averaging 12 points, guys. Like, this is not, it's Jeremy Grant's team. Jeremy Grant was on the Thunder with Russ, just a long dude who developed a jump shot and then went over to Denver and was able to use said jump shot to spot up in the corner and add some defense. Now Jeremy Grant's the best player on the entire team.
My boy.
Now, what's up?
No, I'm saying my boy. That's my boy, Grant.
Oh, yeah.
Boy.
So, Blake Griffin is not the guy, you say, oh, well, he can go to Brooklyn. And do what? In Brooklyn? He's not about to be setting screens and catching lobs from James Harden. When was the last time you saw Blake Griffin dunk?
Well, he ain't dunked since 2019.
It's 2019. He doesn't dunk. This is not in his game.
His first game on a new team, he gonna dunk. He gonna win me. He been saving it, kid. He tired of putting on the show in Detroit. Nobody watched the show. I don't mean to say like that. My bad, Detroit guys. My bad, y'all Detroit fans. But y'all know y'all not what y'all were back in the day. With Chauncey Billups and Brittany Hamilton. So, ain't nobody watching Detroit. Nobody got, that's why Rose got free, man. Nobody cared. Rose just dying off in there. He was just a dying Rose over there. Now he done blossom in New York. Wait, that's pretty good.
I see you. I see you.
That was pretty good right there. Yeah, I can't I can't defend that statement. Wherever he goes, if you're a championship contender team, you go to Brooklyn. Well, they were going to win championship probably anyway. you go to the Pacers, you're probably going to lose first or second round anyway. Like yes, that's just what it is. I don't think Blake Griffin adds any needle. Now, does he create versatility? Maybe so. Go to Milwaukee, you got a team. You got a team with put Giannis at center and Blake Griffin at the 4. Milton 3, Drew Holiday at the point guard. Like you got versatility, but will it mean anything in the end for Milwaukee and their fate? It's probably already sealed, whatever it is. So we can't defend that statement. I got one. Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown will never lead the Boston Celtics to a championship.
Whoa. All right. Yeah, I don't know if that's. I'm gonna need you to defend on that one defend that one because I don't. I mean, you know what we say: wings win rings.
Wings
that's
win
2
rings. That is 2. You definitely right. But what I've seen is, all right, Tatum emerged, right? So they made 2 Eastern Conference Finals in their first 3-4 years together, and now you got people saying Jaylen Brown's better than Tatum, you know. And I think 2 ways this can go. They might fight it out of who the best player is. This is very, very similar. Hear me out. This is very, very similar to Vince Carter and T-Mac. And how that worked. How long did that last? All right, so is it going to be a Kawhi and Paul George situation? Or is it going to be Vince Carter and T-Mac? Where either way, great players individually, but can you be great players together? And that's what we have to find out. And you can't even say about Kawhi and Paul George because it's only been 1 year. But they blew a 3-1 lead. And Kawhi looking at Paul like, you gonna do something else?
You shooting off the side of the back.
You gonna hit the rim this time? And you know, Vince Carter and T-Mac, they related, so or I guess fake cousins, whatever it is. So their relationship is pretty good anyway. But you know, they still didn't last long, and that's why we really never see the wing combination where you're both stars. Like that's not a thing. I mean, we've seen only one worked, Jordan Pippen, but why? Well, Jordan could do everything through Christ that strengthens him, but Jordan was offensive and Pippen was defensive when you come down to their best stats, with their best attributes, right? When you talk about Tatum and Brown, do they not have the same attributes? Like Brown may play a little better defense and Tatum may score just a little bit better. But they pretty much the same. They pretty much going to be the same level, and are they going to fight in each other's way?
So you're basically saying that it can't ever happen, or that it just won't happen?
I'm going to say it won't happen.
Won't. Okay.
I ain't gonna say it never can, because you damn get you get another. You get somebody better. You get Dame Lillard. You gonna probably, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But as far as those 2 guys as the lead dogs, even though wings win rings, they won't make it to the finals.
So
I ain't saying win. I'm saying you won't make it.
Here's my thing. Oh wow, yeah. With Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum, right? I don't know. I don't really pay too much attention to Boston. I don't see the mindset of Jason Tatum being one of those that's like, I want to be the guy. I feel like Jaylen Brown is a big picture kind of guy. Just the way he speaks, especially when they were talking about social injustice and things like that. Like he's less concerned about the little things and more concerned about what it means for the big picture. Therefore, I feel like, and again, I could be way off on this. And if I am, cool, I'm way off. But I feel like Jaylen Brown's the type of guy who really doesn't give, too much thought into, am I the guy or is he the guy? I think Jaylen Brown's just out there trying to hoop. And Jaylen Brown is still trying to show people, when I got picked 3rd and people had doubts with my, my Khalid high top haircut, that I couldn't do this. And he's more concerned about making sure like he shows everybody that like he can be, a perennial all-star in this league and be a household name. And I think that's, again, just from what I picked up, I think that's more where his mindset is. So I don't know if I would say that they're going to fight it out. I will say, though, there's an interesting and compelling case to be made as far as, wing doesn't, we never really seen that work, right? Everybody ain't Jordan. So
everybody
so we saw Jordan and Pippen.
And tell you the truth, everybody's not Pippen to take that back seat either.
Exactly. Because Pippen was really good to be taking a back seat.
Right. Exactly.
And so that's fair. We just knew Kawhi and Paul George were supposed to be better than LeBron. And they couldn't get past
but 3-1. Up 3-1.
Who lost 4-1 to LeBron and company. So yeah, that wing thing, you don't see it a lot, right? You usually see wing big. Bron AD, Luka KP. You got guard. You even see guard more than that. You see Dame CJ and Russ Harden, and Russ Harden KD is guard wing. That's cheating. But you see more guard before you see wing. So that is actually, I didn't even really think about that. While wings win rings, wings.
wings, but do wings win rings? Yeah, but I give but you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, you don't see it. You don't see it often at all. And I just knew Vince called a teammate should win something. You know what I'm saying? But what you do see is you see defensive wing, offensive wing, or you see they got different sets. Mm-hmm. You don't see them when they have similar sets and go far. And they was when they went to the conference final the first time, they was babies. When they become all-stars and somebody in Jaylen Brown's ear, oh man, you better than Tatum. Like what like you said, big picture, but people get to your head, like they get inside you. So that's a good thing to look at. So I hope everybody look at that. And the last one, 3 and D. The Sixers won't win a title. Am I saying this right? If the Sixers won't win a title if Ben scores like average like 25 points. Like if they get his wish and he's scoring the basketball more, the Sixers still won't win a title.
Yeah, the Sixers can't win a title with Ben Simmons scoring 25 plus does not make the Sixers
win a title.
better.
There we go. I like that statement better. The Ben Simmons scoring 25 points cannot still they can still not win a title with that. Like that's because
right.
And when you defending that statement, because to me Ben Simmons is such a better player when he is get everybody involved and play elite level defense.
Yep.
Why?
That's exactly what it is.
That's it.
He's a better player when he does that. And that's exactly what this team was built to do. Like, people have to understand. Ben Simmons, you're looking and you're like, he averaged 16, 8, and 8 his first year, then his second year. And now this year he's averaging 15, 8 and 8, 8 and 9, 9 and 9. And they're like, oh, he's not scoring. Because at one point this season it was at like 13. But you go look at their last 3 games, and I'll highlight them for you. Against Portland, they lost 118 to 114. Ben Simmons had 23, 11, and 9. But against Portland, Danny Green had 5 points, right? Against Phoenix, they lost 120 to 111. Ben Simmons had 18, 6 and 4. But Korkmaz only had 2 points, right? These are guys who play heavy minutes, who are shooters, who are just be out there to knock down shots. These guys don't create for themselves. Who do you think creates for them? All right, then they just lost to the Jazz. Ben Simmons had a career night, 42 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds. Danny Green had 3 points. Korkmaz didn't score, lost the game. The last game that Philly won, they beat the Kings 119-111. Ben Simmons had 14 points. Seth Curry had 22. Korkmaz had 13. Like, Philly has a bunch of players surrounding by it's Embiid who can go get his own shot and do what he got to do. Tobias Harris who can do what he has to do. But for outside of that, you're talking Seth Curry, who I guess he's decent at it. But you're talking Danny Green, Korkmaz, Shake Miltons. These guys benefit heavily off of Ben Simmons finding them when they're open. They don't benefit off of Ben Simmons scoring 40 points. And they don't play, those guys I just mentioned, don't play enough defense collectively to not be giving me no points on the offensive end.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't play Korkmaz to run up and down the court. You ain't Tony Snell, cuz.
No, we're not out here for cardio. And Ben Simmons, the confidence that is brought on when Korkmaz can knock one down, followed by Green, followed by Milton, followed by Seth, and we done hit 4 threes in a row, all 4 assists. Ben Simmons leads the league in 3-pointers responsible for it. Like 3-pointers created off of his passes. Like he leads the league in that, along with the fact that he's a first team. He's going to be a first team, all defensive team for the rest of his career. Well, until he starts to decline for the rest of
his career. Yeah,
like that's like that. And when people want to say he hasn't gotten better, no, that's where he's gotten better. Philly is a 1 seed because not only do they have a coach, having Brett Brown ain't the only reason why. Or, replacing Brett Brown with Doc Rivers is not the only reason why they're the 1 seed. Ben Simmons' role is not to score the basketball. But so just because you don't see that points per game number go up does not mean that he has not improved and that he is not doing what is best for this team. What's best for this team is getting him in transition, running through Embiid in the half court when the game slows down, getting him in transition so he can use his long arms, 6'9" self to go get steals, get out in transition, and get shooters like Seth Curry and Danny Green and Korkmaz the ball, set these off-ball screens, rebound, push it, dunk. And I don't know if y'all watched that Boston game where he took over, scored the last 11 points for Philly and took over the game. He can do that too. That's his job. And if he's doing that job, Philly has the best chance to win. If he's scoring 42 points, forget about it.
Yo, you defending the hell out of that shit. God damn.
No, I'm serious, yo. Like, I'm so upset.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so fed up.
The Ben Simmons, first off, leading the most responsible for 3-point percentage. I mean, 3-pointers. So basically, you saying Ben Simmons is the best 3-point shooting lead. That's all I heard when you said that.
Exactly.
That's all I heard. That's all I heard when you said that. So yeah, I like that. I like your whole defense on that statement. Like if he does what he has to do as far as play the role, he doesn't need to score for them to win the championship. He has to play.
He can't be LeBron. Yeah. LeBron can score 25 and do what Ben Simmons is doing. Ben Simmons ain't doing that yet. Maybe one day he'll get to that point, but everybody can't be LeBron.
Everybody's not LeBron. Everybody's not Jordan. I think that's another thing we can take away from this show. Everybody's not LeBron. So I want everybody to get up and look in the mirror at some point today.
Tell yourself. Everybody can't be LeBron.
So can you play your role and be Ben Simmons? Can you play your role in a Jazz system and be Donovan Mitchell? So since when is that not good enough? Since winning is not
enough.
Shout out Coach Carter again. That's 2 references for Coach Carter today. Since when is winning not enough? Hey, that's our time for today, man. I appreciate Kev for joining us today. You can follow him at the Bottom Line Podcast. Let everybody know where they can find you at social media wise.
Yeah, you guys know you can get me on the Bluebirds, aka Twitter at @therealkev_0. Follow the podcast at @thebottom_pod. Also check us out on Locker Room. We're on there every Saturday, talking crazy things. We're gonna go into much more depth in that Draymond Green stuff and how we're kind of back in a shut up and dribble society, even though things are supposed to have changed. So, you can find us on the Locker Room app as well, posting updates and snippets from the podcast. So, Instagram at @thereal_Kev0 or Kev0, but Twitter is really where I be at. So, go check us out.
All right. And this just another episode of The Prophets, man. Rashad, man, hope you still got some wisdom in when you return. So preach with Rashad. We are The Prophets. We out.